This is 7th grade, lesson 22, module 6, area problems with circular regions. So we're going to find the area of just this quarter region here. So as you know, area equals pi r squared. And since I'm only finding 1/4 of this circle, I'm going to use area equals 1/4 pi r squared. Now it says here that I have a diameter, which is all the way across, of 12. Well, since I need a radius, that means I need to take that 12 and make it a little bit smaller by dividing it. So I'm going to do 12 divided by 2, which is going to give me 6. So my radius equals 6. I'm going to say 6 squared gives me 36. And now I'm going to take 36, divide it by 4, and that's going to give me 9. Now with that 9, I'm finally going to multiply in that pi. So 3.14. And you're going to get about, I'm rounding here, 28.27 centimeters squared. And that's it. Let's look at B. Now B says, what did these people do when solving that problem up above? So it says Sasha, Barry, and Kyra wrote 3 different expressions for the area of the shaded region. Describe what each student was thinking when they wrote their expression. So Sasha is exactly what we did. We did the 1/4 of pi times the radius squared. So I'm just going to say that Sasha's equation finds the area of the shaded area only, which is what we did. We didn't find the area of the whole circle and then cut it into fourths, really. We just went directly to the shaded area. And that's by putting that 1/4 into the equation. Now, what did Barry do? Barry has pi times the radius squared minus 3/4 pi times the radius squared. So what they did is, since they're doing pi times the radius here, but then 3/4. 3/4 is what they're not finding the area of, which would leave you with 1/4 remaining, okay? So what Barry did here is, we can kind of write it out this way. This is the area of the whole circle at first. So this is the whole circle. And then subtracting the shaded area by getting rid of 3/4. That's what Barry did. Now Kyra has half times the quantity half pi radius squared. Wow, what did she do here? So I'm going to say she took half of the area, so half of the circle, so half of, oops, forgot a word there, the area of the whole circle. Then half of the half, because half of a half is going to be a 4th. So took a little bit longer route to get there. So I would definitely say, of the 3 equations, I believe ours was the most simplified, which is what Sasha chose as well. All right, let's look at exercise 1. So first thing here, let's find out how much of this is shaded. So there are a total of 8 squares here, and 1, 2, 3 of them are shaded, which gives me a fraction of 3/8. Okay, now it says here that I have a radius of 12, so my radius is 12. All right, so we're going to say area equals, instead of pi r squared, I'm going to say 3/8 pi r squared. Because again, I just want the shaded area. I don't need to find the area of the whole thing and then subtract and all that other stuff. Let's just cut it right to the chase. So we're going to say 3/8 pi times 12 squared, 3/8 pi times 144. Now what I'm going to do is I can see that 8 divides into 144. I'm just simplifying 18 times just to get rid of that fraction. And then I'm left with 18 times 3, which is going to give me 54. And then bring down that pi. So now I'm going to say 54 times 3.14 is going to give me about 169.65 feet squared. Explain how the expression you used represents the area of the shaded region. So the equation we used was 3/8 pi r squared, and we transferred that into 3/8 pi 12 squared. So what we did is the area of the whole circle with a radius of 12, then multiplied that by 3/8 gives you just the shaded area. Oops, shaded area. All right, let's check this one out here. Now you can see it's been kind of cut in half. It must have been some sort of like oval. All right, now with an oval, you have like a rectangular type form and then the sides curve. Now if I remove this rectangular area, I should say, then I wind up with an actual circle. So kind of keep that in mind. So it tells us here that calculate the area of the figure below that consists with a rectangle and 2 quarter circles, each with the same radius. Leave your answer in terms of pi. So which means we're not going to multiply it by pi. So the first thing I'm going to do is if this is 6 here, and this whole thing down here is 14, I'm going to do 14 take away 6 and get 8. So this portion here is 8. No, I apologize. Both of these add up to 8. So it's not 8. I apologize. I jumped ahead. I need to divide that by 2 and get myself 4. So both of them add up to 8, which means both of them are 4s. So this little section here is 4. This little section here is 4. All right. Now, if I take my area and I say, I'm going to take care of the circle here. I'm going to do the ends. I'll go ahead and label that. Let's do the ends, the circle. So we're not going to deal with this rectangle just yet. I know that a circle is half pi r squared. So I'm going to say half pi times 4 squared because that would be my radius halfway across. That's going to be half pi times 16. Now 2 goes into 16 8 times, which leaves me with 8 pi inches squared. So right now I'm going to leave that answer like that because they do not want to know the answer multiplied by pi. Now let's find the middle section, the rectangle. The rectangle is going to be area equals length times width. So that's going to be 6 times 4, which gives me 24. So what is my, well, let me see, 24 inches squared. So there's my second answer. If I put this all together, I wind up with 24 plus 8 pi, all of that, inches squared. So that's my final answer. Now, if they wanted us to multiply by pi, then I could add in the 24. But since the 24 does not have a pi, I can't say 24 plus 8 and then leave the pi. You have to leave those separate. They're not like terms. So we have this figure here where you can see I have some semicircles. So if you look at the white space, this is kind of a circle like that and a circle like that. You can kind of see it, kind of would make like some sort of like flower looking thing, okay? I want to know how much is just this shaded area. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take well, let me first read it. It says the square has a figure side lengths of 14. The radius of each quarter circle is 7. So the radius of each circle is 7. All right. So since this is a 14 and it's a square, because it mentioned here square, this is a 14 by 14. So let's find the area of the whole thing, which would be 14 times 14, and that would give me 196 inches squared. Now, since each quarter circle has a radius of 7, I'm going to say area equals 1/4 pi r squared. So we're going to say 1/4 pi times 7 squared. That's 1/4 pi times 49. Now, I know that this doesn't go in directly, so I'm just going to leave it as 49/4 times by pi inches squared. And that would give me, if I did calculate that all the way out, that would give me the inside shaded area. But we're going to go ahead and leave this answer in terms of pi for right now. Because if you look at the next problem, it says find the exact answer. Now we're actually going to solve it. So we're going to say that 196 that we got up above, we're going to subtract that from the 49 pi. Actually, don't really need parentheses around that just yet. Need that parenthesis to go around that. Inches squared. So that's how we're going to solve the exact area. So we're going to come down here. Now I see that it says to use 22.7. For me, I want you using 3.14. So I'm going to pull this up. So that's all you have to write for B was just what are you going to do to find the exact answer. And now we're actually going to solve it. So we have 196 minus 49 times 3.14. So we need to take care of that first. And that gives me 153.86. Bring down your 196 and subtract that out. And you get 42.14 inches squared. So I just go ahead and round it to about 42 inches squared. And that's it. All right. For the last ones here, exercise 3 is kind of similar to what we've been doing. You're going to find the area of the shaded region. You have 2 circles here. And it says that the radius of these circles are 5. So that's a 5 there, a 5 there, which also means that's a 5 there and a 5 there. And it forms a rectangle. They went ahead and drew that for you. So you could think that this whole length here is 10. So this one here, you're going to find the answer. Leave it in terms of pi. Down here, you're going to go ahead and tell me what are you going to do to solve it. So just like the B we did above, write out what you need to do to solve it without exactly solving it. And then down here on C, you go ahead and solve it all the way out and give me a final answer with no pi. Then on to the next page, you have this here. And again, you're finding the area of the shaded region. This one has a diameter of 12. So you need to cut that in half by 6 and 6. And then find out what this little section here would be, the amount of the shaded area. So those I will be grading, which ends this video tutorial.